Today is Mother's Day, and I think this country has tremendous respect for mothers. And mothers are also very loving in this country. It's very fortunate to be here on such a day as Mother's Day. Today we went out to see how Italy has become so creative. And the Mother Earth gives you the creativity. She gives you. You learn from her how beautiful things she has produced, and you try to reproduce it. But if you are not aware of the beauty, which is such a pure thing around you, you cannot be a good artist. Then you take the vulgar things which are cheapish, which are no value. But people who have a feeling of oneness with the Mother Earth try to make things to express their joy that they are feeling from the beauty she has created. In the same way, you also are so exuberant with love and affection. So I haven't done much for you, I don't think so, but you may think so, I don't know. The only thing that really binds us is our love together. And this love is not a blind love. So, this love is the truth. And this love is not only the truth, but is the knowledge. If you love somebody, you know everything about that person. But it is so deep, and you know another person through your Kundalini. It is so subtle that you get knowledge about another person. And that is the greatest joy, to enjoy others. And when that enjoyment starts within you, when you start enjoying other Sahajogis and Sahajoga, forgetting what your caste, what your religion, what your race, what your family, and what your, let's say, the countries you come from, then one must say that Sahajoga has worked on you really and you are a real Sahajoga. So it is important that in your creativity you have to use the energy of compassion. You can only mold people through compassion and never through anger, never through suppression, never through showing off your powers of Gurudom. Unless and until you handle the situation and the personality very carefully, showing all the respect, showing all the concern and all the love for the person whom you are giving realization, just showing off that you are a great Guru, it will only create a kind of a fear about you. And after some time, people would not like to see your faces. So, we come to the point that the creativity, if it is our aim, lakshya, for that the attention we should purify. And to be purified with love, with compassion. And the same attention, when it is filled with love and compassion, it gives you dynamism, it gives you strength, it's untiring zeal you get. And the joy of seeing your reflection into another person is very beautiful. No words can describe it. Actually, when you give realization to another person, what you try to see is your image in that person. As if out of an ordinary glass, you are making it into a beautiful mirror. And then you want to see that. That is how you create. You create your own reflections, and through the cleansing of the reflectors, once you understand that without creativity, this Guru Puja is useless for you. If you just live for yourself, for your family, for your husband, or just for an ashram, then you have not expanded at all. You have not done any duty towards your Guru. Then within him rises a subtler attitude towards creativity, towards art, towards books and all that. And then he starts in that reading about the true knowledge, pure knowledge. He wants to see paintings, or he wants to listen to music which sings of divine or divinity. Whole that madness makes him really think that now we should start doing something better. And then the Mahasaraswati principle starts working out. So this is the Mahasaraswati principle. Now this makes you a person much subtler, and you start becoming aware that the gross understanding we had about our art or our creativity has to be subtler. We have to be subtler people. And then such writers only appeal to people who are subtle. Like William Blake was regarded as a mad poet. I mean, in India I never read about him. I did read on my own, but in the colleges, university, they never had William Blake, or in any book as such there was no William Blake. But when you go to these people and talk to them, there was one called Munro fellow. He has translated Gita into English. He's a very wonderful person. He is actually, I think, he's Italian. He lives now. He's no more. He lived in near Cambridge. I went to see him. He was very anxious to meet me. But he was a very well-read man, very deep person. And he told me that while he was studying, gradually he felt this Mahasaraswati principle. The way he didn't say Mahasaraswati, but he felt that there must be subtler knowledge. So he took to books like Gita, this, that, and then suddenly he felt that it's all reading again. It's just the same, like translation. Especially when he translated Gita, he was amazed that people were just reading it like Bible. This is what happens with this Mahasaraswati principle developing within us. But we should allow that to grow within us. So in Sahaja Yoga, we are not told that we are not to read any book. Not at all. We have to read. But in that book, we have to see the subtle points and see for yourself. I don't read any scriptures because I don't need to read. But when I started reading see these intellectuals, what they have to say, I was amazed that they are saying the same thing. There's nothing new. What I know, what I say, that's what they are saying. There's nothing new about it. There's nothing special about it. Just what all the scriptures have said, they have said the same thing, and these people are saying the same thing. But by saying this thing, how are they going to propagate? Nothing. It will be just again something that will happen outside, and it will drop out. It doesn't become part and part of yourself. So it has to become innate. That's only possible if your spirit comes into your attention. There's no other way out. So luckily you all are realized souls, and your Mahasaraswati is very much there. But I would say you must read. Read books of value and understand how it is absolute Sahaja Yoga there, how it is there. Anything you take up, you will be surprised that all these books are talking about Sahaja Yoga. May not be all of it, but part of the Sahaja Yoga is there. All of them talk of some part of Sahaja Yoga, but not the whole of it, because they came at different times. And now the Sahaja Yoga is the time when you have to know the complete integrated knowledge of this religious thought that was there, complete integrated. And that's how you understand that all religions are integrated. So one should, in Sahaja Yoga, after you come, people don't take to any reading, is the wrong thing. Another side which I have left over is the political side on the right side. You see, even in politics, the growth becomes subtler and subtler. So one has to understand that you may be in any position, you may be anywhere, you may be a very poor person, you may be very rich, it makes no difference for a Sahaja Yogi. The best thing to judge yourself is that whenever we are doing anything for anyone or saying anything, is it benevolent or is it violent? Is it for our self propagation or self holier than thou sort of a principle, or it is for the goodness of others? Once you start judging like that, you'll be amazed that your whole system will change. Your way of talking, your way of working it out.